Okay, on the bench today is a 1958 Zenith Bug Eye 17-inch set. This is a set that I'm in the process of restoring. In fact, I'm almost done restoring it. Just got a few things left to do on it. But wanted to give you a look at it. And this is it, obviously up on the bench. And this particular set uses the Roland 17 CRP4 picture tube. I've seen these in Zenith Bug Eye sets before. I'm not sure who Roland was. I think they made picture tubes for Zenith. A lot of Zenith sets you'll see a Zenith picture tube in. But there's also a tag on this one that says Zenith Radio Corporation. So I'm not sure, but they must have made picture tubes for Zenith back in the day. And then the chassis on this set is a 15A36. And here's a look at that chassis. Okay. This set has a real interesting story that I'll tell you when we take a look at the cabinet. But it was pretty much original when I started working on it. I did restuff all the electrolytic caps. I think there's 3 that I had to restuff, and then one wasn't big enough for all the electrolytics, but those have been restuffed. Okay, and then the bottom side of the chassis, as you can see, those that know what you're looking at here, I pretty much replaced every paper cap that was in this set. When I started pulling the paper caps out of this thing, about 85% of them tested leaky, so I went ahead and shotgunned the whole thing and changed out every cap. I normally don't like to do that, but in this particular case, they were all coming up so bad that I decided to go ahead and take all the caps out. There's one of the electrolytics there, that are 2 of them that I couldn't get back into the can due to the size of caps that I had for the values that I needed. So I don't really care if this set looks perfect or not as far as restoration goes, just as long as it's functional. And a lot of the resistors are still original. They tested well. There were some that were out of spec that I replaced. But for the most part, the resistors were good in this set, surprisingly. Okay. There's a look at the tuner. Tuner's in really great shape. It was really clean, and it's operational. It's working well, so that's always good. I don't think anyone relishes getting inside of a tuner, an old tuner, and trying to do any work, and this one's no exception. One thing that's interesting about this set that is really neat and makes them really easy to work on is these aren't really terminal strips here. These are they're like terminal strips, but they have these little cups. You can see that one right there, and all you have to do is stick your solder cup or your soldering iron into that cup, and get it molten, and then you can just pull the lead right out. So you can get another look at that one there. Makes it very, very easy to change components in this, in these sets. And really recapping took no time at all. It took more time to make sure that I was putting the right values back in versus the actual change of the component. You can see down here the selenium rectifiers. I left those in, and as opposed to putting new diodes in. I know there's a lot of debate about that in the community, the restoration community, and you know, they're working okay, so I just chose to leave them in there. I realized that if they fail, that it's going to stink up my shop, but I decided to leave them in. And then really the only thing that I really did differently, and I didn't intend to do this differently, but this is the filament dropping resistor here, and the schematic calls for a 27 ohm 7 watt resistor, and the only thing I had on hand was this 30 ohm 10 watt resistor, and I plugged that in there. The resistor that was in the set was open, and so as a result the set wasn't operating, but I put that in there, and it seems to be working fine. So okay, and over here is the cabinet for this set, and it's kind of a cream and brown, and it's in really good shape. It's got a few spots on it. First I thought about repainting it, but it's in really good shape. And this is what it looks like in the front. You can see over here is where the tuning knob would go, and then the volume control, and giving it the Bug Eye, the Zenith Bug Eye look. It's got a nice dark safety glass on it. I like that. And then here's all the lettering for the controls and the speaker. And I do have the original knobs, the white knobs with Zenith, the Z letter on them. So, and then on the inside, you can see there's the speaker. And it's really clean. And one reason why this set is so clean, I really didn't have to do a lot of cleanup on it. So I said there was an interesting story on this set. I got this set from a guy on the Illinois side of St. Louis, and he had just bought a house that was built in the 1930s. And he was telling me the story that he knew it was remodeled in the 60s. And so he decided to do some remodeling himself, and so he decided to knock a wall out. And apparently it was a wall that had been put in there during the 60s restoration. And lo and behold, behind that wall was this little set. It had literally been walled in since the 60s, so you know, could be 45, 50 years that it was walled in. So being a 58 set and walled in sometime in the mid 60s, this set was either operative and somebody just forgot about it, or it wasn't working and they didn't want to fool with repairing it, or they just didn't realize what they did. But this little guy had been stuck behind a wall for well, since the mid 60s, so 40 some years, 45 years, whatever. So I think it's kind of neat that I'm trying to give it a second life and a second chance. And this set will go into my collection. I'll try to play it every 2 or 3 months just to keep it up and running. But I thought that was an interesting story. I've got my Sam's Photo Fact here between the tuner and chassis. I'm sure someone's wondering why in the world they did that. Well, with it playing like this, it was creating a lot of static. So we'll turn it on here and see what we get. See the tubes lighting up. And it's getting a fairly decent picture. I put this CRT on my CR70 and the tube test very marginal, and I still have a little bit of a problem with that horizontal locking as well, or as quickly as I'd like. I'm not sure if that's a bad tube or what I've got going on there, but you could probably notice that it took a while for it to lock. But it seems to be, you know, I can play it for an hour. I played it for an hour earlier this morning, and it played pretty well. So that picture's not bad. The problem I've got right now is I've got this tuner over all the other controls, so I'm not really messing with the picture so much right now. There is a thing on this set called a width sleeve. I'd never seen this before. It's this copper thing right here, and that's how you can do a lot of picture adjustments with that, as opposed to you know, a magnet like you see on most CRTs. So that was kind of interesting and different. I haven't checked the high voltage yet. I'm going to get my high voltage meter out here and see what kind of high voltage I'm getting. It's got great sound, and the picture's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. I was not expecting a great picture, like I said, due to how the CRT tested. And then here's the other thing that's kind of curious to me. This is the B plus on the set right now, and it's supposed to be 250 volts, and we're running, well, now it's jumping around quite a bit. I'm not real sure what's going on with that, but a while ago it was running consistently at 235 volts, so that's about 15 volts short where it should be. Certainly don't think it'll hurt anything. Just might not get us quite as much B plus or high voltage as I'm looking for, so I'm going to check that. So anyway, it does look better in person than it is turning on this camera. And once I get it installed back into the cabinet, I'll take a little bit closer look at trying to get this picture sharper than it is. Maybe straighten Jed out there a little bit. He looks like he might be a little crooked, but overall it's not too bad, considering I just powered it up for the first time yesterday. And there's that B plus again. 232 volts, about 18 volts, I think. Let's see. says, yeah, should be 250 volts. So anyway, it'll look different when I get it in the cabinet. Can start filling with the contrast and brightness and all that. So, thanks for watching, and there'll be more to come.